There is a war being fought every day between your current reality and your potential, and wealth is not won by the passive. It's conquered by those who dare to think differently, believe differently, and most of all, act differently. Wealth is not given, it is attracted. And attraction begins with a mindset forged in fire. You don't need 10 strategies. You don't need permission. You need one mindset, an unwavering belief that your vision is law. When your thoughts become non-negotiable, the universe begins to shift in your favor. Most people beg for success. Winners expect it. The wealthy don't hope. They decide, declare, and demand results from life. The first key is desire. Not a wish, not a preference, but a burning obsession that keeps you awake at night. You must want wealth like you want oxygen. Until you do, it will remain just out of reach. That hunger is the spark that sets fire to mediocrity and ignites greatness. But desire alone is not enough. You must believe, truly believe, not just in words, but in every cell of your being, that wealth is already yours. Faith is not for the weak. It's a weapon, a shield, a fuel source. When your belief is stronger than your excuses, you become unstoppable. Next is clarity. Vague goals produce vague results. You can't hit a target you can't see. Wealth flows to those who know exactly what they want, down to the cent, down to the date, down to the minute. You need to define it, write it, speak it, and breathe it. And then burn the boats. Too many people keep a back door open, a plan B, a side exit, a safety net. Burn it. When failure is no longer an option, the human spirit discovers new levels of energy, creativity, and grit. The wealthiest individuals didn't leave a way out. They doubled down and pushed forward. Purpose drives the process. Without a definite purpose, the mind scatters. But with a clear direction, your thoughts gather, align, and amplify into results. Every fortune has a backbone, a powerful why. When you discover yours, wealth becomes a mission, not just a wish. You must repeat your vision daily. Speak it into the mirror. Whisper it before bed. Let it become your obsession. Autosuggestion is not hype, it's a weapon. You are programming your subconscious with every word you speak. Make your internal dialogue serve your future. But no success arrives without resistance. Obstacles are not the enemy, they're the test. Persistence is the signal to the universe that you're serious. Every time you break through a wall, you increase your power, your value, your magnetism. Wealth doesn't reward talent, it rewards persistence. Your environment will either elevate you or erase you. You cannot attract wealth while surrounded by scarcity, doubt, and small-minded thinking. Remove yourself from mediocrity. Find mentors. Study champions. Build a circle of visionaries. Proximity is power. And finally, action. Thought without movement is a fantasy. The rich move, they launch, they try, they fail, they adapt, and they move again. Motion creates momentum, and momentum builds wealth. Don't wait, don't hesitate, don't analyze until you're paralyzed. Act now, adjust later, because at the end of the day, you don't attract wealth by chance. You attract it by decision. You decide to live differently, think differently, move differently, and when your mindset becomes non-negotiable, so does your destiny. Desire is the birthplace of wealth. Nothing begins without it. Every towering empire, every life-changing invention, every fortune ever built began with one thing, a burning, consuming desire. Casual interest, not a fleeting thought, but an obsession so strong it took over the mind. You cannot attract wealth if you're lukewarm about it. The universe doesn't respond to hesitation. It doesn't answer uncertainty. It listens to the voice of certainty, of fire, of conviction. When you want something more than comfort, more than distraction, more than your current limitations, doors begin to open. That desire acts like a magnetic force, drawing in people, ideas, circumstances, and opportunities aligned with your vision. You become a lightning rod for possibilities because your inner world refuses to be ignored. People fail not because they lack talent or resources, but because they lack intense, focused desire. They kind of want success, they sort of want wealth, but kind of never moves mountains, sort of never makes history. The truth is, if you're not willing to be obsessed with your vision, you'll be enslaved by someone else's. Desire isn't weakness, it's not greed. It's a sacred signal from within, a declaration that you are meant for more, that you refuse to die with your potential buried inside. The world doesn't reward the indifferent. It rewards those who demand more from life and will not rest until they claim it. You must wake up hungry. You must go to sleep driven. You must become the kind of person who cannot be distracted, who is deaf to doubt, who walks with the intensity of someone possessed by a purpose. That's when the shift happens. That's when the ordinary becomes unstoppable. You must build an image in your mind so clear, so vivid, that you can feel it before you touch it. Desire turns fantasy into focus. It transforms vague wishes into burning targets that command your behavior. Most people drift because they've never decided what they truly want. They chase too many things but commit to nothing. Wealth demands commitment. It requires that you lock in and never let go. And when that desire is strong enough, it begins to speak through your actions. It wakes you up early. It keeps you working late. It makes you uncomfortable with excuses, allergic to laziness, and immune to fear. It becomes your fuel. Every failure is just feedback. Every setback becomes a stepping stone. Because when desire drives you, quitting is no longer an option. You develop what most people never do, emotional endurance. And endurance is the hidden edge. It's the reason some people rise while others fall. It's the reason the few dominate while the many dream. Your ability to keep going when others fold is directly tied to the strength of your desire. Desire doesn't live in comfort zones. It lives in risk, in sacrifice, in taking bold action before you're ready. You can't tiptoe into wealth. You charge into it. You claim it. You build it. You bleed for it. And when your desire is strong enough, you no longer fear failure. You fear regret. You fear waking up one day and realizing you settled, you hesitated, you played small. That fear pushes you. That fear keeps your fire alive. And that fire turns average lives into examples of greatness. You must learn to protect that fire. Feed it daily. Speak your goals aloud. Write them down. Read them every morning and every night. Let them become the voice in your head, louder than doubt, stronger than fear, deeper than your past. Do not expect the world to hand you anything. It owes you nothing. But it will yield to a mind set ablaze with purpose. Your desire must grow teeth. It must fight for its existence. Because every day, comfort will try to put it to sleep. Doubt will try to drown it. Fear will try to smother it. You must be stronger, you must be louder, you must want it more. Want it so bad you no longer recognize the version of you that once settled for less. That's when the transformation begins. You start walking different, talking different, thinking different. People feel it. They sense the power, the hunger, the inevitability. And soon your results begin to match your belief. There is no room for half-hearted intentions, no room for maybe, no time for someday. Wealth responds to boldness. It honors the mind that moves with purpose. The greatest fortune you can ever build starts in your thinking. If you can't hold it in your mind, you'll never hold it in your hands. Desire creates vision. Vision builds belief. Belief fuels action. Action creates momentum. Momentum leads to breakthrough, and breakthrough opens the floodgates to abundance. But it all begins with a decision, one that only you can make. A decision to stop waiting, stop wishing, stop apologizing, and start demanding more from yourself and from life. Wealth is not for the chosen few. It is for the few who choose it. Choose it now. Choose it fully. Choose it with everything you've got. Faith turns thoughts into riches. It is the invisible power that transforms an idea into a fortune, a whisper into a war cry, a vision into a reality. Without faith, the most brilliant thoughts die in silence. With it, even the smallest idea can move the world. Faith is not blind hope. It is the certainty that what you desire already exists in the unseen and is making its way toward you the moment you believe. Most people think wealth is about money, strategy, or connections, but the truth is brutal. Until you believe you are worthy of wealth, you will never hold it in your hands. Your mind is the factory, but faith is the fuel. Thoughts alone are not enough. It is the belief behind those thoughts that gives them power. It is the unwavering conviction that refuses to let the idea die that breathes life into wealth. You cannot fake belief. The world will test it. Life will press against it. People will doubt it. But if you hold the line, if you refuse to waver, that belief will begin to bend reality in your favor. The world mirrors your inner certainty. When your thoughts become commands, When your vision becomes law in your own mind, the world responds. Faith begins when logic ends, when nothing in your environment supports your goal, when no evidence exists to justify your belief, and yet you persist. That is where wealth begins. Most people stop at what they can see. The wealthy act on what they believe before it shows up. They operate from the inside out. They plant thoughts and water them with belief until the harvest becomes undeniable. The person who believes, truly believes, is dangerous. They walk with a different posture. They speak with a different energy. They do not seek validation because their vision is already validated internally. And when your belief becomes bigger than your fear, your actions become bolder. You take the risks others won't. You make the calls others avoid. You walk into rooms others think they don't belong in, because you know. And when you know deeply that wealth is yours to claim, it begins to rearrange itself around you. Faith is magnetic. It draws resources, people, timing, and breakthroughs. It collapses time between where you are and where you want to be. What takes others 10 years can take you one, if your belief is intense enough to eliminate hesitation. Doubt delays destiny. Faith accelerates it. Every time you hesitate, question, or second-guess yourself, you weaken the power of your thought. But when you move with certainty, when your belief is louder than the voice of fear, you gain access to another level of life. Faith doesn't need approval. It doesn't need proof. It doesn't wait for permission. It acts. It moves. It speaks as though the outcome is already written, because in the mind of the faithful it is. Faith is the bridge between the invisible and the visible. It is the code that unlocks the hidden vault of success. You cannot attract what you do not believe in, and you cannot hold what you do not feel worthy of. This is why so many fail. They chase wealth with thoughts of lack. They speak goals with voices of fear. They try to win with a mind wired for loss. Rewire the mind, and your results follow. You must train your thoughts to align with abundance. You must speak only what you want to see. Words backed by belief are creative forces. They shape reality. Every thought you think with faith adds another brick to the structure of your destiny. Build long enough, and what was once imagination becomes your daily life. But without faith, even the best plans collapse. The richest strategies mean nothing if your foundation is weak. You can outwork others for a time, but only belief sustains. Only belief survives a storm. Only belief keeps going after the fall. And in the silence, when no one claps, no one sees, no one agrees, it is faith that keeps the fire alive. Faith requires discipline. You must refuse the language of limitation. You must reject the poison of doubt. You must evict every thought that suggests you're not enough. You must shut down the mental noise that tells you to quit. Because if your inner world is contaminated, your outer world will reflect it. Wealth is not the reward of chance. It is the product of clarity and certainty multiplied by relentless execution. But certainty comes first, before the strategy, before the opportunity, before the applause. When you can stand alone and still say, "I will win," that is when the world begins to move in your favor. Faith is the ultimate advantage. It cannot be taught, only chosen. It is a decision to believe in the unseen more than the seen. It is a refusal to be intimidated by present conditions because you are driven by future conviction. And once that decision is made, you become unshakable. Delays don't destroy you. Setbacks don't shake you. Failures don't define you, because you know, deeply, unshakably, that the outcome is already yours. This is how thoughts turn into riches. Not through wishes or waiting, but through belief so powerful that it reprograms reality. Hold that belief, speak it, walk with it, act on it. Because the world does not give you what you deserve. It gives you what you believe. Clarity is the magnet for money. Without it, you're invisible to opportunity. You're invisible to power. You're invisible to wealth. You cannot attract what you cannot define. The world cannot deliver what you only vaguely desire. A mind clouded by uncertainty repels abundance, because wealth responds to direction, not confusion. When your goals are unclear, your energy is scattered, your actions become inconsistent, you move but you don't progress. You work hard but you don't build. You think a lot but you don't manifest. That's because wealth does not reward motion, it rewards precision. Until you decide exactly what you want, exactly how much, exactly when, and exactly why, you're just running in circles pretending to chase success. Clarity is not optional. It's the foundation. It is the difference between playing the game and winning it. The wealthy are not lucky. They are intentional. They see the target. They obsess over it. They visualize it. They measure it. They speak it with certainty. Their clarity creates alignment. Their mind, their decisions, their time, their actions all serve one master vision. That level of alignment sends a signal to the universe that cannot be ignored. It's like a frequency. When you are clear, you vibrate on the level of wealth. You attract deals, people, moments, resources, all tuned to your clarity. But when you're vague, the world gives you vagueness. You get someday results. You get half-hearted outcomes. You attract the random because you projected the random. Your life becomes reflection, not creation. Clarity forces commitment. When you get specific, you force yourself to get serious. You can no longer hide behind maybes or excuses. Clarity exposes weakness. It demands decisions. It dares you to declare what you want fully and unapologetically. That's why so few ever do it. They're afraid to commit, afraid to write the number, afraid to name the goal. Because once it's written, there's no hiding. You must either move or admit you're lying to yourself. But that's the exact pressure that forges power. The moment you get clear, you give your brain permission to focus. You give your body permission to align. You give your spirit permission to believe. That is when things begin to shift. That is when your words gain weight and your actions begin to matter. There is no success without focus, and there is no focus without clarity. Distraction is a symptom of confusion. You don't need more motivation, you need more clarity. Because when you're clear, you don't need hype. You don't need daily pep talks. You don't need to scroll for inspiration. The target is in your mind every hour of the day. It drives your decisions. It governs your behavior. It disciplines your mind. That clarity builds momentum, and momentum builds wealth. No one drifts their way into millions. They build it brick by brick, decision by decision, all tied to a vision so specific it cannot be shaken. Clarity is your internal compass. Without it, you wander. With it, you accelerate. The clearer you are, the faster you move. Why? Because confusion breeds hesitation, and hesitation kills wealth. Every time you hesitate, you lose speed, you lose trust, and you lose opportunity. But when you're clear, you move with speed. You make decisions with confidence. You speak with conviction. You operate with intensity. That kind of movement creates momentum, and momentum is how average people build extraordinary lives. You must be able to answer the hard questions with absolute conviction. What do you want? Why do you want it? When will you have it? What are you willing to do? What are you no longer willing to tolerate? These answers must not be generic. They must be sharp, specific, loud, and emotional. If your answers don't stir something inside you, they will never shift anything outside you. Wealth is emotional before it's financial. When you tie clear goals to deep reasons, you unlock a level of motivation that outworks talent, outlasts obstacles, and outperforms logic. There is power in written clarity. When you put pen to paper, you translate chaos into command. You take your dreams from fantasy into form. Write your number, write your deadline, write your strategy. Read it daily, speak it aloud. Let your goals be your obsession. Let your obsession create consistency. Consistency creates results. But it all begins with clarity. That's what separates the amateurs from the builders, the hopeful from the decisive,
the average from the unstoppable.
Until you get clear, you'll keep running in the same loops, stuck in motion, mistaking activity for achievement. Wealth doesn't just flow, it flows to structure, and structure begins with clarity. If your income is low, look at your clarity. If your days are chaotic, look at your clarity. If your confidence is shaken, it's not motivation you're missing. It's clarity. Because once you see the target, truly see it, you will stop at nothing. You will make the calls, take the risks, speak the truth, show up early, stay up late, study harder, invest smarter. You will move like a person on a mission, and that mission will draw the people, places, and timing you need. Because when the mind is clear, the path becomes inevitable. Burn the boats and the mind awakens with a power you've never felt before. The moment you eliminate the option to retreat, you tap into a level of strength, focus, and creativity that comfort can never give you. Most people fail not because they lack the skill, but because they give themselves too many ways to turn back. They keep backup plans, safety nets, escape routes, quiet little exits that rob them of urgency. But wealth doesn't follow the cautious. It follows the committed. And commitment only becomes real when the option to quit is no longer on the table. When you burn the boats, you remove the luxury of doubt and create the necessity of action. The brain rewires itself when survival is the only direction. You stop negotiating with your fear, and you start commanding your future. Most people never go all in. They want success, but only if it's convenient. They want freedom, but only if it doesn't require discomfort. They touch their dreams with one hand while holding onto the shore with the other. But you can't cross oceans like that. You can't conquer new worlds when you're anchored to old ones. Burn the boats means destroy the exit, remove the comfort, cut the ties, because only then do you truly move. Only then do you bring your full self to the table. Partial commitment creates partial results. Full commitment creates breakthroughs. When you burn the boats, you tap into a primal force that refuses to be denied. You give yourself no choice but to adapt, to fight, to rise, and to win. This is not about recklessness. This is about intensity.
It's about decision.
It's about drawing a line in your mind and saying, I will not go back to the person I used to be. That old identity must die for the new one to be born. That life of hesitation must burn for the life of power to rise. Every great transformation begins with a moment of no return. That's where identity shifts. That's where your standards rise. That's where you start behaving like the person you were meant to be, not the person the world taught you to be. The boats you burn are your excuses, your backup plans, your justifications, your comfort zones. The boats are anything that gives you the illusion of safety while stealing your destiny. When you know you can't go back, your energy multiplies. Your focus sharpens. Your vision becomes non-negotiable. You stop entertaining doubt. You stop looking over your shoulder. You stop wondering if this is the right path, because now it's the only path. And that kind of mental clarity creates force. People feel it. The world responds to it. Because energy that comes from necessity carries weight. It pushes through resistance. It makes the impossible bend. There's a reason why so many rise only after losing everything. When you've got nothing to lose, you finally give everything you've got. But you don't have to wait for disaster to find that level. You can choose it now. You can burn the boats by choice. You can raise the stakes before life does it for you. Burning the boats means killing Plan B. It means getting so committed that Plan A must work. It means you'll stay up all night if you have to. You'll make the calls, learn the skills, take the risks, face the rejection, and do it all again tomorrow. Because you're not hoping anymore, you're executing. You've stopped entertaining the idea of failure as a final destination. Now it's just feedback. Now it's just a detour. Now it's part of the process. And when failure is no longer feared, speed increases. You make moves others wouldn't. You stop tiptoeing and start charging. Because there's no more safety rope to hold on to. And in that space of no return, growth becomes mandatory. Everything changes when you tell yourself, I'm all in. Those 3 words flip a switch inside of you. That switch activates belief, hunger, and resilience. People sense when you're committed. They listen differently. They respond differently. Opportunities show up when you move like someone who refuses to be denied. And it's not because the world changed, it's because you did. You stopped waiting. You stopped hedging your bets. You stopped preparing to fail and started preparing to conquer. You no longer leave room for failure to feel like home. You give it no comfort, no room to breathe. And without the comfort of escape, you begin to climb. You are not meant for average. You are not built for mediocre. You are designed to build, to lead, to dominate your lane. But domination requires full engagement. It demands that you stop dancing with your doubts. It demands that you stop dating your dreams and start marrying your mission. Burn the boats and watch how your mind rewires itself. Watch how your body finds new energy. Watch how life begins to reward you with power, opportunity, and growth that you didn't even know existed. Not because you got lucky, but because you got serious. You chose commitment over comfort. You chose forward over familiar. You chose destiny over doubt. And in doing so, you made yourself impossible to ignore. Wealth follows definite purpose because money is a servant, not a master, and it only answers to clarity of mission. Without purpose, even talent is wasted. Without purpose, action is scattered. Without purpose, time is abused. The world is full of busy people going nowhere, working hard but accomplishing nothing that builds legacy or abundance. They run in circles, chasing distractions, mistaking motion for progress. But wealth is not attracted to motion, it is attracted to intention. A mind with a definite purpose moves with force. It carries a conviction that shakes the room. It commands attention, action, and acceleration. The moment you define your purpose, you stop asking for permission and start claiming your place. Purpose creates order. It takes 100 scattered thoughts and forges them into a singular force. It aligns your vision with your actions. It makes decision-making simple, because anything that doesn't serve the mission is eliminated. This is how the wealthy think. They don't chase every opportunity. They pursue only what aligns with their definite purpose. Purpose gives them a filter, and that filter becomes power. While the masses are distracted by what's urgent, the focused build what's important. Wealth rewards the ones who refuse to be pulled in every direction. It responds to the mind that says, "This is who I am. This is where I'm going. This is what I will build, no matter what." Purpose gives birth to direction. It creates a path where none existed. The moment you declare a clear objective and refuse to back down, your brain begins searching for answers, strategies, and connections that move you forward. That mental clarity becomes a magnet for resources. People want to help someone who knows exactly what they're building. People want to follow someone who walks with unshakable direction. Purpose is attractive. It's rare. It's powerful. It creates a gravitational pull, drawing in everything that belongs to the vision. But the vision must be real. It must be personal. It must be alive in your bones, because the world cannot reward what you cannot define. Most people stay broke in life because they never pick a direction. They change their goals like the weather. They react instead of decide. They drift. But drifting builds nothing. It tears apart the very foundation of wealth. When your energy is split across too many dreams, none of them survive. Purpose consolidates your power. It takes everything you are and aims it like a laser. And that kind of focus builds empires. When your actions are aligned with purpose, your days have weight. Your time has value. Your work has meaning. The grind stops feeling empty and starts feeling sacred, because every effort contributes to something greater. A definite purpose turns struggle into strategy. It gives meaning to your setbacks. It makes pain tolerable because the mission is bigger than the obstacle. Without purpose, the slightest resistance will break you. But when your why is solid, your how will show up. People quit not because they're weak, but because their purpose is weak. Their goal wasn't clear. Their reason wasn't deep. That's why they fold under pressure. But the person with a definite purpose becomes unstoppable. Every failure is fuel. Every no is redirection. Every delay is preparation. When you know what you're fighting for, you keep moving. You must sit with yourself and get painfully honest about what you truly want, not what sounds good, not what impresses others. What matters to you? What lights a fire so deep inside that you'll walk through hell to get it? That's your purpose. And once you find it, write it, speak it, live it, purpose must be internalized. It must become a part of your identity. You don't just have a goal, you are the goal. You don't just pursue the vision, you become the vision. That's when your thoughts, habits, and environment start shifting to support the mission. The world bends to a mind that refuses to compromise. This isn't about dreaming, it's about deciding. Dreams are soft, purpose is steel. Dreams fade, purpose endures. Purpose turns ordinary people into forces of nature. It replaces fear with fuel. It silences distraction with direction. And when you move with that kind of conviction, wealth begins to flow. Not overnight, not without resistance, but consistently. Because money always finds its way to those who create massive value. And massive value is the byproduct of focused purpose. The clearer your purpose, the more impact you can make. The more impact you create, the more wealth follows. Purpose kills hesitation. When you know where you're going, you stop questioning yourself. You stop entertaining doubt. You stop waiting for signs. You become the sign. You speak with certainty. You act with intensity. You lead yourself, and by doing that, you begin to lead others. Leadership begins with purpose. Influence begins with purpose. Wealth begins with purpose. It's not about what you do, it's about why you do it. That why must be bigger than fear, bigger than failure, and bigger than your current limitations. Purpose makes you dangerous because a person with nothing to fall back on and everything to fight for becomes a weapon against mediocrity. The world doesn't need more noise. It needs clarity. It needs people with mission in their blood. Purpose is the foundation that every great legacy is built on. And if you want wealth to serve you, to respond to you, to stay with you, you must first give it something to obey. That something is your definite purpose. Once you define it, decide that nothing will shake it. Once you commit to it, build every day around it. Once you embody it, you will watch everything around you begin to move. Not because you're lucky, but because you finally decided to stop chasing everything and start building something. Autosuggestion programs the mind for riches because your dominant thoughts shape your reality more than any circumstance ever will. The voice you listen to most is your own, and what you repeatedly say to yourself becomes the blueprint your mind follows without question. Every thought you affirm, every belief you repeat, every word you speak about yourself is a command issued directly to your subconscious. And the subconscious does not argue. It does not analyze. It accepts. It obeys. This is the hidden mechanism behind all lasting transformation, the repetition of powerful, intentional, emotionally charged thoughts spoken with absolute belief. When you feed your mind with clear, focused declarations of wealth, success, power, and abundance, you literally rewire your brain to align with those outcomes. You become what you say to yourself over and over again, especially when no one else is listening. People don't fail because they lack opportunity. They fail because their inner dialogue is poisoned. They say things like, "I'm not ready. I never have enough. I'm just not that type of person," and wonder why success feels like an uphill battle. Words have weight. Thoughts have power. Repetition has force. Your subconscious is a machine that runs whatever program you install. And if you feed it fear, scarcity, and self-doubt, you will live a life that mirrors those thoughts. But if you deliberately choose your thoughts and repeat them daily with emotion and faith, you begin to carve a new path in your mind, a path that leads directly to wealth. This is not magic. This is mental engineering. The world around you always follows the world within you. Your mind is listening. Every day, every hour, it's absorbing information from what you say, what you think, what you focus on. And over time, those repeated inputs form your identity. You do not rise above your self-image. You cannot outperform the version of yourself you carry in your thoughts. If you want more, you must think more, speak more, expect more. That begins with autosuggestion, feeding your mind the exact commands you want it to carry out. You must speak your wealth into existence long before it shows up. You must affirm your power when you feel weak, your abundance when you are broke, your destiny when nothing around you reflects it yet, because it's not about current results. It's about future reality, and the mind creates it before the world reflects it. The repetition is the key. Saying something once does nothing, but saying it every day, multiple times a day, with full belief, with emotional fire, that's how you shift your internal structure. That's how you take a man built for average and transform him into a magnet for greatness. That's how you take a life bound by limitation and program it for freedom. Most people treat their goals like casual wishes, but autosuggestion makes them non-negotiable commands. When your mind is filled with words of purpose, belief, certainty, and expectation, you start to act differently. You walk with more certainty. You move with more precision. You stop hesitating. You stop apologizing. You start becoming the very person you've been speaking about. You must be deliberate. Autosuggestion is not random positivity. It is targeted reprogramming. You choose your statements carefully. You speak them as truth. You write them down. You repeat them out loud with intensity, with confidence, and with absolute emotional connection. You are telling your mind, this is who I am. This is what I expect. This is what I will have. Over time, the subconscious stops resisting and starts believing. And once it believes, your thoughts, behaviors, decisions, habits, and results begin to align. You begin to notice opportunities you once missed. You begin to feel bolder where you once hesitated. You begin to attract wealth not just because of what you do, but because of who you are becoming. This is how you bridge the gap between vision and reality. Autosuggestion keeps your goals alive when the world gives you reasons to quit. It keeps your mind anchored to the outcome when your environment hasn't caught up yet. It gives you stability. It gives you fire. It keeps your energy high even when your results are low. Because you've made your success internal. You've made your belief immune to external noise. And in a world full of distractions, that internal certainty becomes your superpower. The mind trained through autosuggestion does not crumble under pressure. It does not question its mission. It executes. It builds. It attracts. You must stop speaking the language of lack. You must stop telling stories of defeat. Every word you speak is either building your empire or building your cage. Choose your words like weapons. Speak life. Speak abundance. Speak certainty. Create a ritual. Every morning, every night, look yourself in the mirror and affirm your destiny. Write your vision, declare it, read it aloud until it burns itself into your brain. Feel it, own it, make it your internal soundtrack, and refuse to let anything or anyone override it. This is not motivational fluff. This is how empires are built from nothing. Thought by thought, word by word, belief by belief. What you repeat, you believe. What you believe, you become. And what you become, you manifest. That is the formula. That is the law. Autosuggestion is not just a practice. It is the root system of transformation. If your life is not growing, look at what you've been telling yourself. Change the program. Update the story. Install a new belief system built on power, purpose, and wealth. Say it until it becomes real. Say it until your mind obeys. Say it until the world has no choice but to reflect what you've already decided. Persistence breaks the wall because nothing in this world can withstand the power of a mind that refuses to stop. Obstacles may delay you, discourage you, even knock you down, but they can't defeat you unless you quit. And when you decide that quitting is not an option, something shifts. You stop looking for the easy way. You stop chasing shortcuts. You stop waiting for the perfect moment. You begin to move with a different rhythm, a rhythm of resilience, of relentless pursuit, of daily execution. The walls that once seemed impossible start to crack. They may be tall, they may be thick, but they are no match for the person who keeps showing up when others have already walked away. This is the secret most people will never understand. Talent is optional, resources are helpful, but persistence is mandatory. It doesn't matter how many times you fall if you're the type of person who always stands back up. Failure is not the end unless you make it the end. Every time you try again, you get stronger. Every time you push through resistance, you gain momentum. Every time you face rejection and keep moving, you multiply your power. Persistence builds a pressure that eventually breaks through any resistance. It doesn't happen all at once, but it happens without fail. You chip away at the wall one swing at a time. It might take 100 swings. It might take 1,000. But persistence means you're willing to keep swinging until the wall no longer exists. This is how the impossible becomes inevitable. People give up because they expect speed. They expect smooth paths, fast results, instant rewards. But wealth doesn't work on your schedule. Success doesn't respond to your impatience. The rewards belong to the ones who can stay locked in when the results are invisible. You have to keep showing up when it feels like nothing is working. You have to act like the result is guaranteed, even when all the evidence says otherwise. That's persistence. That's power. That's the mindset of the few who break through while the rest break down. The wall was never stronger than you. It was only testing your belief, your hunger, your willingness to fight for what you said you wanted. When you persist, you separate yourself from the crowd. Most people quit at the first sign of struggle. They fold when it gets uncomfortable. They retreat when the outcome isn't immediate. But when you keep going, you signal to life that you are serious. You prove that your vision is not just a fantasy, it's a command. You stop being a dreamer and become a doer. You stop being wishful and become unstoppable. That energy starts to shape your environment. Doors open. People notice. Breakthroughs happen. Not because luck favored you, but because you stayed in the game longer than anyone else. You earned it through sheer refusal to give up. Persistence is not glamorous, it's not loud, it's not filled with applause. Most of it happens in silence. Most of it happens when no one's watching. But that's where the fire is built. That's where you develop the grit that makes you immune to failure. Every no, every setback, every delay becomes another layer of strength. You stop fearing the wall. You begin to respect it because you know that with enough effort, enough repetition, enough commitment, it will fall. It has to. It always does. Nothing can resist the energy of someone who shows up every single day with the same intensity, the same belief, the same commitment to growth. You must make persistence your identity. Not something you do when it's easy, but something you are when it's hard. When everyone else is tired, you go one more round. When the voice in your head says stop, you say not yet. When the world says it's over, you say it's only the beginning. That's the mindset that moves mountains. That's the fire that builds empires. You don't need to be the smartest, the fastest, or the most connected. But you do need to be the most determined. That's what makes the difference. That's what takes average people to legendary heights. The ones who never quit always win in the end. You have to believe that every step forward matters, even if it feels small. You have to trust that your effort is stacking up behind the scenes. Every page written, every call made, every rep performed, every sacrifice, it all counts. It all adds pressure to the wall. It may not fall today, but it's weakening. It may not fall tomorrow, but it's shaking. And one day when you least expect it, everything will crack open. Not because you got lucky, but because you refused to leave. You refused to break. You outlasted the wall. This is how wealth is created. Not through one big moment, but through thousands of relentless ones. People will look at your success and call it sudden. They'll say you were lucky. They'll see the breakthrough, but never the battles. But you'll know. You'll know about the nights you almost gave up, the mornings you got up anyway, the failures that didn't finish you, the rejections that didn't define you. You'll know that you earned every dollar, every opportunity, every inch of freedom through persistence. So if the wall is still standing, don't complain, don't panic, don't retreat, lean in. Hit it again and again and again, because there is no wall strong enough to withstand the one force that never stops coming. Persistence is the quiet power that eventually gets loud. It is the invisible work that becomes visible victory. It is the mindset that builds wealth, breaks barriers, and creates a life no obstacle can contain. Control your environment ruthlessly because your surroundings are either shaping you into the person you're meant to become or suffocating your potential without mercy. Every sound, every voice, every influence either feeds your ambition or poisons it. The people you allow around you, their energy, their mindset, their conversations, they aren't neutral. They're either pushing you forward or pulling you back. And the moment you stop guarding your environment is the moment you surrender your future. You must take full command of what enters your mental space, who earns your attention, and what deserves your time. This is not a suggestion. It is a demand if wealth and power are what you seek. The truth is brutal but simple. Your results are a reflection of your surroundings. Sit with people who complain, and you'll begin to find comfort in excuses. Fill your space with noise, and you'll never hear the whisper of vision. Let negativity linger, and your spirit will rot in silence. Control is the key. Not control of others, not control of events, but control of what surrounds your mind every waking hour. You must be intentional about the inputs because inputs become beliefs, and beliefs shape action. A polluted environment will slowly reprogram your mind to accept mediocrity, to settle, to wait, to survive. But a powerful environment rewires you to think big, act boldly, and never settle for anything less than domination. If you want to attract wealth, then design a world that supports wealth. Remove distractions without apology. Cut off energy-draining relationships with surgical precision. Eliminate habits that waste time and numb your vision. Replace comfort with challenge. Replace gossip with goals. Replace entertainment with education. Turn your phone into a weapon of focus, not a toy of addiction. Your environment is not just where you live, it is where your future is built or broken. Stop treating it casually. Start shaping it ruthlessly, because those who create wealthy lives never allow their surroundings to be dictated by default. They build every inch of it by design. You must learn to protect your energy as if it's the rarest currency on earth. Because it is. Nothing destroys dreams faster than being surrounded by the wrong frequency. If people around you laugh at your ambition, they must go. If they doubt your goals, they must go. If they waste your time, distract your mission, or dilute your vision, they must go. This is not cruelty. This is clarity. The world is filled with people who want to keep you in place, not because they hate you, but because your growth threatens their comfort. Let them go. Elevate your standards, and your environment will elevate with you. Silence is a secret weapon. Use it. Too much noise makes the mind chaotic. You need space to think, to visualize, to plan, to execute. Design your environment to support silence. Wake early. Guard your mornings. Block out interruptions. Build a fortress around your focus. You don't owe anyone unlimited access to your time. You don't owe explanations for protecting your dream. You owe yourself results. You owe yourself transformation. You owe yourself the discipline to create a space that demands greatness from you every single day. Your environment should trigger action, not hesitation. Make it impossible to forget your goals. Put your vision on your walls. Put your deadlines on your mirrors. Place your purpose in front of your face so often it becomes impossible to avoid. Rearrange your workspace to promote movement. Declutter your life to eliminate friction. Everything around you should scream one thing: rise. If it doesn't contribute to your climb, it's part of your fall. Remove it. Replace it. Rebuild until your external world reflects the internal fire you carry. Discipline is easier in the right environment. Willpower fades, but systems endure. Make your environment so tight that success becomes your default, not your battle. Stock your fridge with fuel, not failure. Keep books at arm's length, not distractions. Fill your time with growth, not noise. Wealth is not only created by action, it's created by what supports that action. Control the inputs and the outputs will change. It's not just about working hard. It's about working smart in a space designed for winning. What you tolerate becomes your standard, and your environment reveals your tolerances. If you let laziness exist in your space, it becomes a guest that never leaves. If you let people interrupt your mission, they'll do it forever. If you allow your environment to be random, your results will be accidental. Ruthless control is not for the faint-hearted, but wealth is not for the faint-hearted either. Every inch of your surroundings must serve you, or it must go. There's no middle ground. Your future deserves more than convenience. It deserves precision. Your life should be engineered for performance. Wake up and ask yourself, does my environment empower me or enslave me? If the answer is not empowerment, then you have work to do. Design your days, curate your space. Choose your circle like your destiny depends on it, because it does. The quality of your environment sets the ceiling for your potential. If you want no limits, build a world without limits. And that only happens when you remove everything that makes you small and replace it with everything that demands you rise. Action is the language of abundance, because the universe does not respond to wishes. It responds to movement. You can visualize all day, you can pray, journal, and chant affirmations until your voice is gone, but if you don't act, you don't move. And if you don't move, nothing shifts. Action is the bridge between thought and reality, between desire and possession. Those who wait for the perfect moment never taste victory because they've been tricked into thinking clarity comes before motion. But real clarity is found in the doing. Abundance doesn't wait for you to feel ready. It rewards the bold, the fast, the doers who leap even while their hands tremble and their path is unclear. Every wealthy life ever built began with a decision followed by relentless execution. Not talent, not luck, not inherited advantage, but action. Small steps repeated with obsession. A man can dream of gold for decades, but until he swings the pickaxe, he finds nothing. Action is the signal that says, I'm serious. Without it, your mind begins to doubt your own voice. Hesitation corrupts belief. But when you move, even imperfectly, you awaken momentum. That momentum grows and begins attracting people, resources, and energy that you never saw from a place of stillness. Life responds to effort. The marketplace rewards motion. You don't get paid for what you think. You get paid for what you produce. You must train yourself to become a machine of execution, to act when it's hard, to act when it's uncertain, to act when it's uncomfortable. Because the cost of delay is invisible at first, but it compounds like interest. Days turn into months, months into years, and eventually regret becomes your only companion. Don't let that happen. Every second you hesitate is a second you push your future further away. The world doesn't slow down to wait for you to feel like it. It moves. So you must move faster. Be decisive. Be aggressive. You'll never have every answer, but you always have a choice. And the right choice is almost always to act. When you're faced with fear, action is the cure. When you feel doubt, action is the reset. When you're surrounded by noise, action is clarity. You don't need more motivation. You need movement. One action leads to another, then another, until momentum makes it impossible to stop. And that's the secret. Once you start moving with purpose, life starts moving with you. Doors open. Opportunities appear. And it feels like luck, but it's not. It's the reward for breaking inertia. The universe meets the committed halfway, but it ignores the idle completely. If you want to live in abundance, your daily routine must scream commitment. Stop glorifying